Every crime begins with a choice, a moment when morality is cast aside for desperation, greed, or fear. Some crimes are impulsive, driven by rage, while others are coldly calculated, crafted in the shadow of deceit. But no matter how carefully one plots, the truth has a way of surfacing, just as the weight of guilt pulls even the darkest secrets into the light. Today's story is about Samaresh Sarkar, a respected bank manager whose life was built on trust, responsibility, and a reputation for professionalism. To his colleagues and family, he was a man of integrity, a figure of stability in the bustling town of Durgapur. For Samaresh, a routine boat ride on the Hooghly River, a serene and unassuming activity for many in West Bengal, was about to become a descent into chaos. The river, with its tranquil waters and softly rippling waves, seemed the perfect accomplice to bury his darkest secrets. Samaresh Sarkar, 45, was the manager, operations, at the Central Bank of India's branch in Durgapur, a major industrial city in Kolkata, India, known for its planned urban development. Like many others, he followed a predictable routine, commuting daily by boat to return home. He was married with 2 daughters, and his family lived in Titagarh, a peaceful city on the southeastern banks of the Hooghly River, located about 15 miles north of Kolkata. Titagarh was far from the chaos that would soon engulf Sarkar's life. Nestled in the Kolkata urban agglomeration, the quiet of his suburban life stood in stark contrast to the darkness that lay just beneath the surface of his seemingly respectable existence. On August 29th, it was a serene evening along the banks of the Hooghly River. The sun had just dipped below the horizon, casting a warm golden glow over the water, while boats swayed gently in the twilight breeze. The soft chatter of locals, returning home after a long day's work, filled the air. The calmness of the evening seemed like any other in this quiet stretch of the river. Amid this peaceful setting, a lone man, Samaresh Sarkar, appeared. He moved with a sense of urgency, lugging 3 heavy trolley bags onto a boat. Why was he carrying these bags? What was inside them? To the casual observer, it might have seemed like just another commuter returning home, a part of the usual rhythm of life along the river. But was it? As the boat rocked gently on the water, Sarkar began tossing the bags overboard with swift, deliberate movements. Each splash as the bags hit the water sounded like a countdown to a secret about to be exposed. Little did he know, his every move was being closely observed. Who was watching him? And what did they see that would change the course of his life forever? As the bags disappeared into the dark depths of the river, so too did his carefully constructed life. The boatman, who had spent years navigating the calm waters of the Hooghly River, was no stranger to the routine comings and goings of passengers. But there was something about this man, Samaresh Sarkar, that struck him as off. The furtive glances, the hurried movements, everything about him seemed rushed, nervous, as if he were trying to escape something. With a sinking suspicion in his gut, the boatman decided to confront him. "What's in those bags?" he asked, his voice steady but laced with concern. Samaresh, caught off guard, stammered an explanation. "Old documents. Stuff I don't need anymore," he replied quickly, his voice trembling just enough to betray his panic. The boatman wasn't convinced. His years of observing human behavior told him something was amiss, and his gut instinct was not to be ignored. He didn't let the matter slide. Instead, he made a call to the police, alerting them to the strange behavior of the man and the suspicious contents he was attempting to dispose of. What was inside those bags? What was so important that it needed to be hidden in the depths of the river? Little did the boatman know he was about to uncover a horrific secret that would shake the very foundations of Durgapur. As the police arrived and retrieved the bags, the truth began to surface. Inside, they found the dismembered body parts of a woman, a torso, legs, and, horrifyingly, signs of a young child. What could have led Samaresh to commit such an unspeakable act? Was this an act of revenge, desperation, or something far darker? And why had he chosen this moment to dispose of the bodies in such a calculated manner? The discovery sent shockwaves through the sleepy town of Durgapur, where residents had known Samaresh as a respected bank manager, a father, and a husband. What twisted chain of events had turned him into a cold-blooded killer? What had driven him to murder the woman he had once loved, and worse, her innocent child? As the investigation unfolded, a name emerged from the shadows: Sucheta Chakraborty. She was a 34-year-old woman, a single mother who had been separated from her husband, and she lived with her 5-year-old daughter in Durgapur. Over time, she had become emotionally attached to Samaresh, a man she trusted and believed could offer her a future. But as their relationship progressed, the dynamic began to shift. What started as an affair blossomed into her desperate desire for commitment, for Samaresh to marry her and make her family whole again. Her requests for marriage soon turned into demands. When Samaresh hesitated, refusing to leave his family for her, their once passionate connection soured into heated arguments. Was it love or obsession? And when love became desperation, did it push her to a breaking point? On the fateful Friday afternoon that would forever alter the course of their lives, Samaresh claimed the confrontation with Sucheta turned dark. In his initial statement, he explained that during their argument, Sucheta, in a fit of uncontrollable rage, drowned her own child in a cistern before taking her own life with a knife. A tragic, impulsive turn of events. But was that really the truth? Was it as simple as a mother snapping under pressure? The investigators didn't buy it. There were too many inconsistencies in Samaresh's account. First, the timing of the deaths didn't add up. How could Sucheta, in the throes of grief and rage, so efficiently dismember her body and that of her child? The dismemberment was far too calculated, too meticulous. It wasn't a moment of rash violence. It was a sign of premeditation, a cold and deliberate act to erase evidence. Why had Samaresh gone to such lengths to ensure the bodies were beyond recognition? As the police dug deeper into Samaresh's movements on that fateful day, they began to piece together a chilling picture. After the murders, Samaresh didn't act like a man in shock or grief. Instead, he methodically dismembered the bodies, packing the remains into 3 trolley bags. The bags were carefully sealed, as if he was packaging them for a journey. He then transported them by train from Durgapur to Sheorafuli, an area on the outskirts of Kolkata. His plan was simple, yet chilling. He would erase all traces of his crime by sinking the bodies into the depths of the Hooghly River, making them disappear without a trace. Was he confident that no one would catch him? Did he believe that the river would conceal his dark secret forever? It became clear that Samaresh's actions were far from the reaction of a man caught in a moment of passion. This was the work of someone trying to cover his tracks, someone who had planned every step with terrifying precision. What had driven him to kill a woman he once loved and her innocent daughter? Investigators soon discovered the depth of Samaresh's double life. The pressure from Sucheta had been mounting for months. She had relentlessly pushed him to leave his family and marry her, convinced that they could build a life together. But Samaresh, ever the calculating and cautious man, feared the fallout of such a scandal. He was unwilling to disrupt his carefully curated life, one built on respectability and routine. In a chilling moment of clarity, Samaresh made a decision that would seal their fate. His actions were not those of a man in a fit of rage, but those of a man who saw murder as the only solution to his problems. The dismemberment of the bodies, the meticulous packing of the remains into bags, and the careful planning of how to dispose of them all pointed to one thing: a cold and calculating mind. This was not the act of someone caught in the heat of passion, but of someone who had weighed the risks and determined that there was no other way forward. Samaresh's plan, however, began to unravel thanks to the sharp instincts of a boatman. As Samaresh attempted to dispose of the bodies by tossing the bags into the river, the boatman noticed something odd. His suspicions were raised by Samaresh's furtive glances, his hurried movements, and his strange claim that the bags only contained old documents. Why would someone be so secretive about throwing away paperwork? The boatman, unwilling to ignore his instincts, called the police. Neighbours and colleagues, who had always known Samaresh as a mild-mannered, dependable bank manager, were left in shock. How could the man who had helped them with their finances, the one who always wore a smile, be the same person who had committed such a monstrous act? The community struggled to reconcile the image of the family man they knew with the cold-blooded murderer now in police custody. Was it truly possible that someone so ordinary, so seemingly harmless, could harbour such a dark secret? Meanwhile, the search continued for the missing head of Sucheta and the body of her young daughter. Divers were dispatched to scour the depths of the Hooghly River, diving into its murky waters in hopes of recovering the final pieces of evidence. The missing parts of the bodies only added to the grim reality of the case, a reminder of the brutal and calculating nature of Samaresh's actions. In the end, the story of Samaresh's descent into murder serves as a chilling reminder of how easily the line between love and obsession, loyalty and betrayal can blur into something far more sinister. And while justice may have been served, the scars of his actions would forever haunt the small town of Durgapur, leaving everyone to wonder: what drives a man to kill the ones he once loved? Want to explore more intriguing narratives, mysteries, and tales of human resilience? Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Love the content we create? Help us keep this channel alive and thriving by making a donation.